You said that you go into an abandoned cottage. How are you going to find an abandoned cottage?
We are lucky enough to have a location.
We do have a location.
Does it fit in with the theme?
It does fit into the theme.
And using editing techniques, like we can make it look darker, and we can also crop it to make it look abandoned.
We're going to use mainly natural light as well, just to add more of an eerie feel.
Make it more realistic.
Yeah,
so
realistic for the audience.
Emotionally involved.
And Crystal, what's your favourite part of the film?
My favourite part is the part where the girl is in a room and the stranger, the strange person, is looking for her. So it's like two different scenarios, but they both intertwine.
And do you feel that your horror film is different to anyone else's? It seems to be following quite a classic horror line.
I disagree with that because I think we're choosing a whole different. We're using young kids, and I think adults who watch this, because it will be over 18s probably.
15, I think.
15 maybe, yeah. They almost feel protective of the children, so they're going to kind of feel.
They'll have more of an emotional connection.
Yeah.
Because it's always more frightening when a child's being attacked rather than an adult.
And it's the villain is a child covered in blood, and you don't normally receive that an all-child thriller.
Yeah, exactly. Louis.
Yeah. So when you mentioned you're going to end on the cliffhanger, so the cliffhanger will basically be the man or the blood-covered child coming out of the door, and it's left the audience to wonder whether the child is dead or the child's still alive.
Yeah, it's wondering whether the villain went into the right room, because we see him in the corridor choosing which door, and we don't know which one the girl's in. And then we end on the villain kicking down the door and then wondering.
And just like a straight blackout, so you don't hear anything. We're also going to use contrasted music with the scene to create a kind of really eerie feel. So we'll use a really happy song for the chase. But
like
when it's a really, really scary scene of like maybe a nursery rhyme, maybe some kind of poppy music. Anything?
Cool. You've got one singular narrative. How's that going to interest an audience?
Singular narrative.
You've just got one narrative. That's it.
I think the codes and conventions that we'll use will keep the the camera angles and the sound will keep the audience more
involved.
interested.
And we're using like different locations. I mean, we start off in the forest, and then we go into a house, and then we go into different rooms in the house, and it's all isolated locations. And so I think that will keep the audience engaged and excited, rather than confusing them with
Well, this presentation is all about the narrative and the narrative of the story. You're talking about all these code of conventions, you kind of jump in ahead. Answer the question again, single narrative, is that going to keep the audience engaged?
We can also talk about the girls that are outside, and they're obviously worried about if there's anyone in the woods. They don't know if anyone's outside or inside. So that's also another narrative to run parallel with the girl inside.
And in terms of characters, how many characters are in this film?
4.
4, and what's their names?
The names?
Characters have names that you develop and think about.
Martha, Iris.
Are you making it up?
No.
No?
No.
Well, you've not thought about it?
We haven't got.
We haven't got the name for the killer because obviously he's meant to be this kind of.
You don't want to name him.
He's like a nameless murderer, which makes it more scary because you don't know. And we're going to have him all in shadows, so you don't know who he is.
In terms of Maddie picked up on this idea that you follow the convention of the same idea. I've seen it a million times. What makes yours so different? It's just a repetition of what I've seen.
The way it's done.
The way it's filmed. But the narrative is exactly the same as every other.
But there's characteristics in each narrative which run throughout every film.
So what's the difference about your one? What's the standout? If you had to give me one sentence, what
it's
would
all kids. It's all kids, like not 18-year-olds. It's we're slightly few years younger. The actors are going to be younger.
Yeah.
What age are you saying younger?
Like 15, 16.
But is it believable that even if that's 15, 16-year-old be able to go around a forest?
There are lots of forests.
Yeah.
When you said young, I assumed you mean like 11, 12, or was I?
We were thinking of using younger children at the front, but we thought sometimes it can get a bit too emotional for viewers. Like it gets too stressful. Like with some movies, it's for such like the film Insidious when you see children being murdered.
And the book's reaction.
Yeah.
And the background to the story is they go to a cottage. Who's this person? That's up, the door locks. Why is all this happening? What's the story behind it?